Hey guys, Samson Anami here. Welcome to another GitLab fundamentals tutorial. Today I'll be diving deep into GitLab YML file and what you need to know about it. I'll be taking you through the YML file itself, the images, the stages, the variables, and also I'll look into the jobs themselves and also the keywords that I use to run a GitLab job. And also I'll check into Gitlab runner by itself as an NB. And so out of this tutorial, you'll be able to understand Gitlab in out, the runner itself and the YML file, how we write it and how we put script into it. So first, let's get into this Gitlab documentation where they have the documentation on how to write the YML file. And this is their explanation on how you're supposed to write the files, how you're supposed to group your jobs, how you're supposed to write the stages, the different stages, and how you're supposed to just entirely produce that file to work for you. So Gitlab YML file is a file that is placed at the home directory or the root directory of your project. So assuming this is my repo, so I'll go to master branch. So inside my master branch, you can see I have a gitlab YML file here. It starts with a .gitlab YML file. So this is the file that will be controlling my CI/CD, that's continuous integration and continuous deployment. Yeah, so once you're here, this is just a basic one, which really worked for my project for just deploying a website. So this is what we'll be playing around with. And as you can see out of here, I've run some couple of jobs using it, yeah, some 2, 3, but it only has one stage. So we'll try add multiple stages on these and then we'll run and play around with it. So welcome guys, and let's get our hands dirty. So I'll start by a bit explaining this YML file, and I'll start by telling you what this does. So first we have the stages defined here, and then you can see one stage of production and then blah blah blah. This production does this. I have a tag here called Bula. As also guys, remember previously we created this tag when we were installing Gitlab runner on our server on previous tutorial. Please, if you haven't checked on that tutorial, I'll put a link below so that you can follow it through. And so these tags you create are similar to what you're registering on your Gitlab runner on your server. And then you'll have different stages which you can define, and then we have the scripts. So I'll go through all these. So first of all, I'll start with explaining images. So this is the first part of Gitlab YML file, and this one generally defines the Docker images to run your jobs in Docker. So Docker will allow us run our jobs independently, in independent containers within a single Linux instance. So we might have a Docker image previously created, or we can create our custom one to enable us run our jobs inside Docker. Yeah, so on images, you can select various images to put. So this is the tag that you'll use to put your images. You just say images and then put your images here. So for example, I'll pick one. So you can define these images by looking up to the Docker Hub, where you can find multiple images, and these Docker images will help you run your source. So for example here, for this example, you can see the default, by default, these executors will pull an image directly from that Docker Hub. However, you can define it also manually. Like for example, here you see there's the default image, Ruby 2.6. So you can also create your custom one. You can follow up through the GitLab documentation to find how you can create your custom one and do that. However, I won't dive deep into that because it's not for a simple setup of deploying our website. It's not. So from really, initial bug, you'll see I made two mistakes. First, on defining my in my image, I didn't have the p, so I just said ph not p, that is, so it wasn't finding this image. And at the same time, these images should not be images in plural, so it should be image in one. I'll show you finally. So after we patch these, the two, let me show you the correct one, how it's supposed to be. So how once, yeah, so this is the correct one. You say image and then you put the image name. So once we do that, you'll see now our pipeline is running. However, now we need to set the scripts to run on different stages, and then so that we can have those stages listed here. So let's get it done. So for example, I might go back here and say I have various stages, like just a second, sorry, my internet is a bit slow. Okay, so I might say here under build, so these now are what now we are using to now complete these stages. So for example, this production will run at production, so I might define the rest of the stages. So for example, let me start with build. I say under build, what I need you to do, I need this following scripts to run. So in a short time, I'll tell you what the script will do. So I just want this one to display the current user. So I'll do that for this one. Then I'll do the same for the rest of the stages, just to make sure. So that is build. Next one will be test one. Next one will be, we'll get rid of others, but let's first see how the stages are being defined. Then we'll just remain with the simple working ones. Yeah, so this is it. So I'll say this is step 2, this is step 4, and then we have the final one, which is production. So we'll leave production as that. So let's see. So I have all these stages defined, and then on each stages I just want to print who the user is. So let's save that and see what we'll have. Let me go back to our pipelines and see. Yep, so we're having 2 stages, created and production. Let me see why that is. You're supposed to see at least all the stages in there. So to save time, I'll open in a new tab so that I don't have to, and then this tab, it will just remain here on CI/CD, and then our previous one will just be in here. So let's check again and see. So we have these stages. Then on test stage, so we have build stage, this is the script. Then we have test stage, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Yep. So I feel we'll need to define the tags for that. But let me see. Let me try with one of them. Let me see. Then I'll define why we need the tabs. Let me try with that build, and then let me just try with the 2. Say build and that. Let's save this and see. Just a second. Yep. Then we can refresh here. Here we have the 2. Oh no. So in here, you will have to define the various tags. After the tags, you'll have to give it a stage. So if you don't specify this stage, the same error will occur. It won't it won't be able to put your pipeline in any stage, so you'll not see it. So if you say this is build, for example, this is build, you can call it whichever name, but then you say this is at build stage, and then the only stages that you can use is what we have defined. We have previously defined on the stages section. So we have all these build test, step 1, step 3. Let me even add step 2 here so that we can have a bunch. And then let's try this. So let's say build will happen at build, test will happen at test, having this tag, and then this is the script that's supposed to run. And then I say here, I define another step. I say one extra step. Let's try. Sorry. So I'll say one extra step, and then we say maybe we have another step there called AOB, and then after that we have maybe this one you're copying the CSS. Maybe copy CSS. Maybe the previous one was maybe let's make sense. Let's say copy JS, right? Then maybe say this one is transfer images or transfer assets. So that's our stage name with just any name. And then after that we say this one is in step 3. Let's do step 2 because we have to follow each stages. So it says step 2, we have 2 of these, so this also will happen at stage 2. We say even this will happen at stage 2. And then as usual we say the tag user. We have one tag called what? Bula. That's the tag that I created and registered on my Gitlab runner. So that, and then we also say this one copy CSS will appear with the tags with this one tag, and then after that how it will appear at stage. So I want to put like 2 stages. Let me add another stage here and say stage which is called step 2. Let's add the 2 in step 2, and then say this one now will go to step 3. Yeah, stage, or this is production. Let me add one. Maybe say copy HTMLs, and then this one let's appear on stage number 3. Yeah, so let's commit these and see what the difference will be from the previous one that we had. So I'll come here and refresh these so that I can see my pipelines. So this is the first one. The build is running, which is pending to run. After this we'll have the second one, which is test, and then we'll have the step 2, and then there's step 3, and then there's step 4. So all this will be happening as they follow all those stages to the end. Yeah, so after the stages there's something called variables, and variables initially you'll see there's a lot of there's a way you can define variables, but this one will define it to store it will be stored in Git repository, but we usually use variables to store data which is not sensitive or non-sensitive project configurations. So for confidential or sensitive data like your database connection, things to do like with your keys, your private keys and stuff, you don't put it on your variables. But this one they are just non-sensitive data that we might want to use, and then this data should be can be used or executed later on the script that you created down there. I don't know if I'll find one here to just show you what I mean. Let me see. Yeah, so you can check on variables here on the Git repository. So for example, this one, you can define variables this way and say maybe password is blah blah blah, and then this one you might use it later on when running your scripts. Like you see here, you can say echo this. So you can say echo that variable, and then you'll see it when the pipeline is running. You'll see that variable being echoed. For example, the next one is this is test variable, blah blah blah. Maybe I can just try with one to just show you how it works. Let me do this. Let me create a variable here. Let me say I have a lot of variables here. I say variables. Then these variables, I say there's a variable I want to call env, right? And then this env for my case will be, or maybe the app name. Let me just say app name. Then my app name will be Bula website, for example. So this variable, I can now use it in the scripts. So for example, I called it app name. So I can say maybe in script, for example, let me do it in the first build. Whenever you're building, I want you to echo this here. So I want you to echo my variable here. I think that's how it's supposed to be, but we close it with I think that's how it's supposed to be. Let's just confirm from here. Yep. So I'm expecting this to run and to just output that variable. Let's see. Let's try it out. Then we check our pipelines. Build pending. Let's see. Now, so you see how those groups will be working. So when you see your pipelines, this is a build. Now remember we said jobs which are in one stage, defined in one stage, will run concurrently or parallel to each other. So this is how that's shown. For example, this we had copy CSS, copy JS, and copy transfer defined in step 2. So all of those three will run at the same stage, and you can set them to be run manually or to run automatically. Let me try cancel this running, and then I rerun it to just see if it will. So some two things I've done here to get it working. First, under this build, I just define the stage and the script to echo app name. And then so here in here, let me get rid of these tags. Let me get rid of these tags here. So after the first one, we have this second one. Let me get rid of this tag because it's in production. And then test is here. Let me do that. That's okay. This is okay. That is okay. Yep. This is okay. Let's try that way. And this is okay. That's okay. Later on, I'll get to tags. Yeah. So, if I run that as the final runner, let me see it here. Yeah. So here it is. So those tags they can work, or even if you get rid of them, the app will still work. But it's important if you want to exactly point out to them. And then so here you will see my let me cancel this one. So you'll see my runners are my jobs are running. Yep. And so let's wait for one of them to complete, and then you'll see that output. Or maybe this one is done. Let's check that out. Yeah, so under this, the build one has already completed. Let's check on what has done, because I set it to execute with shell. That's why you can see some output in here. So you'll see at our point of variables, the variable that we created. So this is the script which was running echo app name, and then the app name became Bula. That means our variable in here, it's there and we can use it. So this one you can use it to store simple variables, non-confidential variables, or non-sensitive variables, which you might want to use in your app. Now on to the next. So there are jobs that we need to define in our CI/CD, and in those jobs there are keywords that we're supposed to adhere to, because now the jobs can allow us to run a limited number of services onto our server. So there are keywords that I want to point out to. So in a job, this is an example of a job. So this is a job. This two is a job. This one transfer is a job. This one, copy the JS, is a job. So that block of code is a job, and that's why you can see them here. When we come here, just a second, you can see them through. Yeah, so my second job failed, so I'll check out why that one failed. But if we check on this, you'll find that these are all jobs. So this is a job build, this test is a job, this copy CSS is a job, this is a job. So all these are jobs. So this block of code represent a job. So there are those keywords that you might be seeing me using within a job. So I'll try with this first build and tell you. So the first one is the script, keyword. This one is used to run a shell script. So you run after the script. That's where you list the shell scripts that you want to run after. So for example, you can run another script like that one here. So all these will be a list, and remember that it starts with this hyphen with a indentation. So all these will be my scripts that we're running, my shell commands that are supposed to be executed. So that's represented by script. Next one is the stage. So this stage will now identify or define the job stage that we want to run, which were previously defined under stages. So this one will define the job stage that we want to run. And then there's a keyword called only. So this only, we might say, when do we want this command to run? So this will define a list of Git references that will trigger the job. For example, this one you can say only when the master is committed, or only when the master is pushed. Yeah. So you can say only, and then this one start with that, and then we say master. So that one will tell our script when should you execute, or when should this job run. The next one is except. This one works is like the opposite of only. So this except will now say, for example, if I have 10 branches, which are supposed to be run, and then I say except main or except master, what I'll be meaning is whenever you push all those branches, this job will run, except when you push the main. So this one will define a list of gitrefs that will not trigger the job. This will now identify that main will not. So when you publish on main, it will not trigger the job. But if you publish on other branches, it will do. So you might use this except or use this only if you want it to be triggered by one event. But if you only want it to be triggered by all event except one, that's when you'll use the except keyword. Then there's another one for allow. Allow failures. Yes, so these allow failures. This one will allow the job to fail, and then the failed job will not stop the build or contribute to the commit status. So what will just happen, it will just allow the failure, and then once that's allowed, the code will run to the next stage. Yeah, so you might say you want to allow failures, so you just say true. So that one will allow, in case this one fails. For example, this is the second one that failed, like this test. You can say here we want to allow failure. So whenever the failure happens, this job will fail, and then it won't stop building process, or maybe the next stage. So there's also another keyword. That's when. So when do you want this to run, this job to run? So this one will define when to run the job, and then it can be on success or on failure, or maybe always. You can say always. Yeah, and the opposite of this one is, so this always will run whenever you push anything or you change anything onto your Git repo. But also we can say manual. So if we say manual, for example, we can say this always. Let's rename this one as always. And then for production, we'll say now the production one, or maybe the second one, we want it to happen whenever maybe whenever we want this one to be manual, so that it won't run until we come and click the key for manual run. So those are the keywords that we have on GitLab runners. Also, we have another one called cache and environment. So for the cache one, you can use cache to define the name of the cache or the files that you should not be cached between subsequent runs. That is not very key or very common. Then there's the environment. That one also will help us, or is the tag that will tag a job as being a deployment to a particular maybe environment. You say we want this one to run, maybe the environment of this, we just want it to run on production. All right, environment, we want this one to run on production, for example. That. So you want this one to run on maybe production, something like that. And maybe the cache files that you want to be cached. You want maybe which cache files? Maybe you want slash maybe vendor, right? Those want to be cached. So example of that. So those ones will be executed. We want to be cached or cached. Then the environment will specify that this one is maybe the environment, maybe production, or maybe build, or whatever you want to run. So let's try out our runner. Let's save it and commit, and then we see what will pop up. Yeah, so two things I want you to master here. First is the mistakes that we did on this file, the YML file. So I'll try edit it, and then you can see the two. So first we have remove the environment first, because we don't have any environment defined on the server. And then this cache, you need to give it a path like this, so correct that part also. And then allow failures is not plural but rather singular, so it's just say allow failure, and that should work for us. So let's see our pipeline and confirm if everything is okay. Yep. So the first one ran, the second didn't, the third one, but now because we allowed failures, so even if the second one didn't run, we are up to the third one and going ahead. Yeah, so you can see step 2 ran, but now this one, because it didn't run, I think it jumped to the third one. And so all these commands will be running now to the end. And then the end one, because we said it's manual, it will wait for us to tap on transfer. I think this one is manual. Yeah, so you see for the manual one, it will ask you to play, yeah, to run that. So this was manual, so it will skip it, and then we can run it manually by tapping on that icon. So after this, it's supposed to go to the production one, and if not, we'll have to tap on that. So you can check the bug on these tests and maybe see where we have the problems. Rushing not found, blah blah blah. So I'll just keep this command simple. So let me just do this. Let me just assume that this will just list who am I, and then echo the stage. Maybe we say run and test and stage test. Yeah, we say running test in stage test, and then just echo that. And then for the second one, we just also echo running transfer assets in stage, then stage step 2, at least we know. And then we just say for this one, run who am I, and then run copy.js in stage 2. And then, so I'll be sharing this file under description, so feel free to pick it and check it out. So running copy CSS in step 2, and then just to avoid tampering with our files, because that rsync does an automatic copy to our files to the server in step 3. Yeah, and that's it. So this one also, you can say this one is manual, so you can say this one when maybe when, then we say this one should run when should it basically run, and then you say not always but manual. You say this one will be manual, so it will require our press to run the same way we did for a transfer asset. And that's it. So let's save it and see. Let's now refresh here and see what we are having. And so basically I think I covered a lot, say 80% of what we need to know in GitLab CI/CD. So the first one is running, we're expecting the second one to run, the third, blah 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 as it goes. And so that's it. Yeah, so you can see the first one completed successfully. If we open it as the second one runs, you'll see we have this one echoed the name, blah 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 blah. So it, after that it will go to the next one and next one and next one up to the last one. So you can check the next and see. One or two of them are manual, so we'll need to run them manually. So after this it will run copy and then copy CSS, copy JS, and then this one will require us to tap manually, but then we'll only tap these after the two are done. All right, so you see this one has completed, and so if we open this on a new tab, you'll see we'll be having echo running test in stage 2. So it's running our scripts as it goes, and so it will run all of these up to the end. So thank you guys. I think you enjoyed the tutorial. Let me hear on the comment on where we need to touch, or the areas that we need to touch. Comment, share, and like, so that it might give me that motivation to do more and more videos on this. And so also it will help me to know what to do next, and exactly what you need to understand is my team. So you see this one is transfer assets. So this one will be manual, so we'll need to run that manually. After we run that one will complete. Then also production is manual, so you'll just need to run production manually. Let me just keep this. Let me keep this image for you to work as your inspiration. Yeah, and that's it. So thank you guys. Like, comment, share, as I was saying, and so that I might be doing more of this. And thank you, and let's meet in the next tutorial. Bye bye.